Hello, everyone. This is the Nerd Incarnate. I'm doing something a little different today. I've got here with me a very special guest who I'm very excited to have a little chat with. Sort of the de facto community leader, I would say, to the Nickelodeon All-Star Brawl 2 community. Please welcome Cherry.
Hello, everybody. It's nice to be here.
I'm so happy to have some time to actually sit down with you. I had the pleasure of meeting you over at Combo Breaker. I didn't get to chat with you too much, but it was very nice to meet you, and I'm so glad that our little game finally, actually got to be on a big stage.
I know, and I've never actually in all my years, because I've been around since the nasb days. I was just a competitor and semi-TO for some events, but obviously I'm a bit more prominent now. But my goal was always to be able to afford to go to a offline major for nasb, and they were always at Genesis or SmashCon or somewhere far away from where I live in the Midwest. So Combo Breaker having the opportunity to go there this time around for nasb 2 was surreal.
I'm actually also from the Midwest. I would not have been at Combo Breaker had I not lived here, so I know exactly what you mean. But let me go ahead and just pull up my list of questions for you. I got a few questions that are generally more about just the game in general, and I got a few from you as a community lead and a tournament organizer. So
Sure.
I don't really have a special order or anything, so we'll just jump right in. So what really led you to decide to become sort of, like I said, the de facto community head for nasb 2?
So a lot of it kind of just became kind of on a natural road or path, if you will. I just kind of over time, my origins in the sense of when I started tournament organizing was with nasb 1. I had started the nasb Junior Arcadian, so that was just an event where all the top players and top 50 were banned, top 100 were banned, and we just only allowed beginners and obviously people who were unranked. And that just had such a huge influence on the scene, with just so many people, even back in nasb 1 days when it was fractured between consoles and PC. So many people were just into it, and my motto with doing anything, whether it's my job in real life or this stuff I do as a hobby, it's always to do it to the best of my ability and professionally, and kind of excel in terms of making sure it's not just an event, but it's also obviously you're a face, you're a community member or leader in terms of hosting these events, so people look to you to have answers and such. And I think on the same vein, for me, it was just well, there were people prior to me kind of becoming this face, if you will, that I looked up to as community leaders, and they've all kind of moved on to other bigger and better things within Nick itself. So some of those people were Tafar, who now creates the spotlights and the trailers for nasb. So he's the one behind all of the spotlight scripting, the editing of it, the writing, and all that. And some of the recordings. But then there's also Blackamar, who's just a huge beta tester and really works hard alongside a couple other people who were in the community as figureheads, if you will. And over time, it kind of was well, they can do more for that. And then naturally as well, I kind of just got stuck into doing what I do, and people listened. So that's kind of just, I guess, the gist of how I got to where I am now, I suppose.
Yeah, I definitely... I don't remember seeing you around too much in the nasb 1 days, because if I recall, like you said, it was kind of fractured, because if I recall, nasb 1 didn't have cross-platform like nasb 2 does, yeah?
Correct, yeah. So I, at first with nasb 1, I was definitely a lot of other players. I was just in it for the competition, played on quick play a lot, played on ranked a lot, and then when the game started to die off in terms of player count, and then there was the whole netcode issue early on too that really hurt it. I just came into the server and I was well, how can I play? So I got the netcode mod and on PC and played for a bit, and it was probably 8 of us, 10 of us, 15 maybe on a good month. And we'd enter tournaments or whatever. But I really didn't host stuff until probably a year later. And I think that was the same weekend as the first Combo Breaker for nasb 1. I had hosted it, so it kind of was under the radar. But it did get a decent chunk of people for the first one. It was like 90 people, but I really didn't like talk or have any sort of voice in the same way that I do now. I didn't want to like try and become somebody who hosted weeklies that were like power ranked or like for prize money or anything back then. I just wanted it to be like a fun atmosphere for people to like enjoy. So anything I hosted was all like just non-rigged, not for the like nasb rank, you know. So it was just, if you heard of me, it was because I hosted nasb Junior back then, and pretty much that was it. But other than that, I kind of flew under the radar, I think, for a while, and it wasn't really until nasb 2 where, like you said, like I kind of became more prominent. But with nasb 1 as well, like that also hurt because crossplay really wasn't ever a thing until like randomly we discovered, I think last year, like midway through last year or so, where nasb 1 had this like a weird jank crossplay with Switch, but it's not like good, you know. It just kind of feels like something they added because hey, why not? We're allowed to, so just put it in and at least they have something, you know. So we can't say we didn't add crossplay with the whole like Q2 or whatever, 2022 or whatever thing.
Right. So what is it about Nick All-Stars 2 that makes you love it so much, especially like in comparison to other platform fighters?
So for me, and my love for it goes, and this is pretty interesting too, is that I really liked Smash Ultimate at first. I was a huge fan of it, and that's kind of where I started doing events and competing and commentating, and a lot of my initial stuff in platform fighters was that game. And one thing that as I got older really hurt me in terms of my love for it was the netcode. And between the pandemic and then also like my own personal situation where like my college actually had a net type thing where it would block Smash Online from working. And so I really could never play Ultimate Online. I could only host locals and hope that people showed up. And my school
That's crazy specific.
It was so weird, dude. I spent so long trying to figure out, and there was literally nothing you could do. You had to like, I just couldn't do anything. So there were other games obviously I liked playing, but Smash was like my favorite. And so when nasb came out and they're like, it has rollback netcode and it's on PC and it supports modding, I was like, this is awesome. I was like, and it's like easy, you know, wave dashing was really easy in nasb 1. And I was just like, so, and I could play it at my school. So that was the big thing. I was like, I could stream this game and it's stupid and fun and silly. And it feels, you know, good online too. And so that was what initially drew me into it. And the next thing too that kind of kept me around was just like, there was something about like how fluid the game felt that, and like how fun it was because of that really kept me around and like hopeful for its future. And then like with nasb 2, the same kind of thing happened. I was like, wow, this thing is literally like, it feels like a good evolution of like the philosophy or like what they wanted nasb 1 to have been, you know what I mean? So
Right.
Like, obviously it's different and there's definitely like certain things that maybe go against that philosophy, but I'm not going to get into all of those things today. But at the bare minimum, the game is really cool with like the whole Guilty Gear-esque mechanic, and that's something that I played Guilty Gear Strive, so I wasn't very good at it, but I really liked it. I really liked that Roman canceling mechanic and burst and everything. So seeing it in a platform fighter and seeing it like kind of implement like nasb 1-esque things with like slime dashing, giving you a really long actable wave air dash, you know, and like other mechanics that now are like kind of universally locked into this mechanic was just really awesome. So I really like the gameplay. I really like the online. I think nasb 2 personally has the best net code of any platform fighter out right now. And even that though it has its like faults like with ping bug and other things still, you know, squad battle, I think it definitely is like the best. I've played all of them. It's not like a bias where I only played it. It's just, it feels great online, and that's how I primarily play these games. And so if I'm going to pick one, I'm going to pick the one that feels the best to play online, you know? So
Right. As a tournament organizer and like commentator, what are some of the challenges that you find yourself coming across when with doing this?
One big one that I think is very specific, but I definitely think in this community we have it happen a lot more than you'd maybe expect, is having to do both. And so at Frosty Fostings for both, well, not this year, but for nasb 1, Combo Breaker last year for nasb 1, and then this year for Combo Breaker for nasb 2. I both TO'd and commentated both of those events, and routinely tend to end up commentating my weeklies fairly often nowadays, just with the lack of people always available, and it always sucks both as a TO and as a commentator, because it's like, as a TO, I would love to just have people who want to like shoot their shot and like either practice their commentary, or maybe if they already have like kind of an established legacy within it, like be able to come on and like provide an actually good commentary, And I think mine's passable, but I think there's definitely people in the community that do it way better, So it's always like hard sometimes to find that balance between, all right, like I'm gonna work on TOing, make sure the bracket runs smoothly, and also kind of make sure that the audience is entertained, or at least maybe if there's new people in the chat, they're like at least aware that there's somebody here watching and able to explain what the heck is going on. That's one unique case, I think.
Right. I was honestly attending when I watched Top 8 at Combo Breaker. I was really disappointed that I couldn't hear your guys' commentary over while we were watching, especially during the losers finals set where Sego went just completely wild. I was super disappointed I couldn't hear you guys talking.
Yeah, it stinks because they actually did that for us at nasb 1's Frosty Faustings. We had a top 8 where they were able to show or have our commentary even broadcast into the venue. And obviously, I think the priority of it always stinks because it's like a Combo Breakers big stage. They're definitely going to prioritize the main event, or with like
your Street Fighters, your Tekkens.
Yeah. And as much as I would have loved it, it's hard, especially in that venue, because all 6 games are running simultaneously with their top 8s, so it would have been awesome. But at least you get to watch the VOD, Low Kick getting that thing uploaded really quick, so shouts to them.
So in a comparison between the first NASB and the second, which one do you think is the better game and why?
So it's definitely a complicated question, but I think that I've narrowed it down to this, and I think that nasb 1 is really fluid. I think that like overall, it's like movement in it is super solid. It's more accessible due to it being a digital input game. It has like a really high speed gameplay where like there's not really too much camping, or like there's really never like there can be timeouts, but it's really not common at all. I've seen that like a couple times here or there. And nasb 2, it's like more familiar on the surface, but as you play it more and more, it can get like deeper and deeper. And I think that nasb 2 has more interesting characters compared to nasb 1, even if I don't necessarily think that nasb 1 had like uninteresting characters. I just think that to me, nasb 2 has far more interesting characters, and as a game as a whole, nasb 2 is just like amazing. Like it just has so much single player content. Like the campaign is actually good. Like that was the first thing I did when I got my copy. Was I literally played through the whole campaign before doing anything else. I did that. It has Squad Strike with playable online, which is literally the coolest thing I've been asking for in a platform fighter, like since nasb 1. And I've asked and asked and asked. I'm like, it's such a slam dunk. Please do it. It has crossplay, the best rollback in any platform fighter. It has so many modes, like really fun characters, and it's not like hurting my hands. And that's something that nasb 1 unfortunately really hurt, was by the input per minute in the APM, just the amount of stuff you need to be able to do really hurt my hands. So I can't play it too much anymore. And it's kind of always been like a lasting thing with me now, is I really can't play platform fighters in general because of nasb 1. Due to the amount of time I put into that game and playing it as much as I did, I definitely did a number on my body. But nasb 2 definitely.
I'm right there with you myself. Honestly, just from roster perspective, I mean, I grew up with 2000s Nick, not 90s Nick, so this one appeals to me a lot more.
Yeah, Jimmy, it was definitely one of my most asked, and I play him more frequently now. I finally figured him out and everything, but I still main Angry Beavers. I still like that like high octane switch character type deal, and I do really miss Cat Dog. But there are other things that I miss from like why I like Cat Dog so much. Probably wouldn't be able to be applicable in nasb 2, like with the whole air grabbing with projectiles and reflecting them. The way he works, like he just would not likely work the same way, even if they like ported his moveset. So I'm okay with like branching out, and I really have. Like I've literally played so many characters on the roster that in nasb 1 I really only ever played Cat Dog and Zim, and so I really like that I can just be like, all right, I'm gonna pick up a new character today and just practice with my friends, and they're playing on Switch and Xbox and PlayStation, and I'm on PC, and it works perfectly. You know, like sure, there's like maybe a longer loading time for some consoles, but like it's not end all be all really when I can play with literally anyone.
I agree with you. I think the characters in 2 are just they're just so wild. That Beavers you specifically mentioned. I mean, just the concept of a platform fighter characters with like MVC-esque assists is just absolutely crazy, and it's nice to see that they take inspiration from Smash's characters, but they also very frequently do their own thing. And I think that's one of the things I appreciate most about it myself.
Absolutely. Like Grandma Gertie, another character, a lot of references. Like she has like the Spider-Man swing with her down air strong. She has the Falcon knee. She has like the Ganon or like whatever F smash, you know. She has the Faust double bag with her down special. She has so many, like the Sure You Can with neutral special, pretty much. Like she has so many like things, and she's another character I really like, but I've strayed away from her because I love Beavers just so much more. But
what's the part of the job that you would say you love most as TO and sort of community leader?
I would say like the best part about it is like when you do a good job, and like people are just like coming up to you or like will message you and just be like, that was awesome, like thank you so much. Like being able to like make somebody like so happy. Like DGen after nasb Jr. had messaged me after he had won, and he was just so emotional. He's just like, this was just the best like thing ever. Like it was just so amazingly well ran, and like then he just went in this whole other spiel about like himself and how Nick and how like the work I've done has like changed everything and all this stuff. And it was just really awesome to like be able to like make that type of impact on somebody, and you know, and like the work matters to people enough to where like you're able to like change things about people, you know. So stuff like that's like that makes me feel really good.
That is super great to hear. That I'm happy that more people are appreciating what you do, because it's very like it's important to a fighting game community, and it's, you know, someone's got to do it, and I appreciate that you had the bravery to, you know, step up to that.
It's something, yeah, like that mentality, the way you said like somebody has to do it. That's kind of like what got me into it. And I joked actually the other day with a friend of mine, a personal friend. We were just talking about this game and like my efforts and stuff, and there I was like, I joke, I'm kind of like the whole like Batman's like, you need a hero, you know, or I'll be the hero that the city deserves or whatever. And it's like I don't feel like I'm a hero or anything, but like it's just like the funny quote, you know. And I'm just like, well, if nasb needs a TO, then I'll do it. Like I'd love to not have to, but I feel like I want to, you know.
Right. So do you think there's a chance for future DLC content after this first season's wrapped up? And if so, who or what would you like to see?
I'm both a realist and an optimist. So realistically, I don't think there's a possibility. But with the recent results with Game Pass, like with how I think it was like somebody did the math, and it was like 22,000 people or more probably have opened or played nasb 2 on PC or Xbox because of Game Pass since July 7th. And like that's a lot of people. That's a lot of people, you know. So I could totally see them saying, well, stockholders or Nickelodeon or game whoever makes the decision, you know, is like, listen, like we have this many people who now have tried it, and it might be coerced if we add this character or that character. And everybody wants Timmy, but that's literally not possible. And I'll answer why if need be. But characters I would love to see, I wouldn't mind some veterans. I would love to see Powdered Toast Man. I would love to see Cat Dog come back.
I main Powdered Toast Man.
He's so cool. He's so cool. Like I love him. I also wouldn't mind like Shredder, or not. Well, yeah, I guess Shredder. Yeah, I wouldn't mind him like reworked. You know, I wouldn't mind Turtles. I wouldn't mind like a complete new rep. You know, Now, I of course definitely wouldn't mind like Timmy or Cosmo and Wanda. Like, I'm somebody that as long as it's like more content, you know, as long as we're confirmed to get more things, I am happy no matter what. Like when Rocksteady was one of the few that was like on that pass and everybody was freaking out and being like, this character sucks. Why would they ask? Or who asked for this? I'm like, I don't care. He's probably gonna be the most fun character. And he's the only one I decided to make a combo video for because he just has the sauciest sauce, you know?
I've been dabbling with him myself recently, and I was one of the people that was like, I'm not a huge fan of this pick because I feel like with the turtles you just can't separate them myself. But like Rocksteady's also a goober with a lot of weird tech, like the throwing a barrel projectile as a forward smash is so crazy.
Yeah, he has some awesome stuff. And I also agree. I think that all the turtles, no matter what, should probably be together. But I also think that April, both culturally within the NASB-verse, and is just so like iconic. Like she was like the Fox for so long of like NASB1 for a while. Like she's the fastest, like coolest, sauciest NASB1 character with all the tech, you know, and people loved her for that. So I don't think that she would be one I want to see cut if you had to pick and choose, you know. But like I also think too, it's like Leo and Mikey both are opposite ends of the like not functional spectrum. Like Mikey was too good and like ridiculously degenerate, and Leo was so terrible and unusable. So it was just like their designs were just not ready. And if they had designs and ideas for these other two turtles, then hey, like all more power to them to like use the other two and give them a shot, you know. So that way we have two games with like all like each turtle, you know, if they had to pick and choose. But obviously right. I would agree though. If there's ever an opportunity to maybe get the other two in, I'll take it, you know.
I'm gonna give you a really hard challenge with this next question. Then you've got 4 slots to bring back veterans from the first game that were cut. Who are you bringing back?
Okay. Let's see. I think let's bring back Cat Dog, definitely. Let's bring back Oblina. I think that it's good to have.
I agree with that.
Those two, you know. I think Hired Toastman for sure. And I'm thinking. I'm looking at a list of them right now. I'm like trying to see like who would I even want? Hugh. I definitely think like obviously I think that there are better picks, but I think Hugh would be so interesting to see like what they would do to him, you know? Like how would he work in NASB 2? Because he broke the rules in the first game, like both literally and with like the way he functioned with like his floatiness. So
if he doesn't have the Chun-Li kick, I don't want him back.
That has to be like his super or something, you know, like his EX forward strong or you just give him the input again, you know, like he'd probably be a full on like Shoto character or something.
I would say mine's almost identical to yours because Powder Toastman was my main. I think losing series is always sad. So Cat Dog and Oblina. The last spot, I would probably give it to Toph just because I kind of want to rep for each Avatar nation because I'm a big Avatar fan. But I could also see like people that want Sandy back. She's kind of part of the, you know, iconic SpongeBob like quad of like 4 main characters. The 2 turtles, of course. And Hugh's the community pick. So I mean, like, I'm not too torn up about Helga or Lincoln or Shredder getting the axe because they got something. Their series are still here and they got something to like replace them. But yeah, Powder Toastman is probably my number 1 to come back just because he was my main.
He's just like such a good pick too. I feel like he's such a legacy like pick. Like he's somebody, I don't know. Like he to me feels like you just can't get. You can try and replace him gameplay wise, but like both as a character and just the charm they did with him in the first game. Like there's a lot of Shine characters in this game. I'm sure people will probably be like, another Shine character. Like why? Like if he had it in NASB 2, but I'm like he just was something else, man. He was awesome.
Yeah, and I think Ren and Stimpy is big enough to warrant like a second character. So I mean,
yeah, of course. Like,
so here's another question, character-wise. Off the top of your head, would you say are the 3 most hype characters to watch in NASB competitive play, NASB 2 specifically, and why?
So, definitely going to start off with the Beavers. I think that's why I play them. I find them really exciting. They both are really fun to play as, but also to watch. And I think with the amount of different supers or EXs they have, like with their each special, you know, and the applications you can use them for, and being able to like swap where your location is based on the other, like it just causes so much interesting gameplay. And like their movesets being different, and one being for like combos and the other being for kills, like it's just so interesting, you know. So I find them really interesting for those aspects alone. I find Grand McGurdy, as crazy good as she is, to be very exciting to watch, just because she's just so like fast, you know. She's another fast character. I enjoy that fast octane gameplay. You don't see her too much at the top level. You see Stango, you see D-Gen, you know, two players that are very good with the character, but like she's just so crazy fast and like hilarious. She reminds me of like a NASB1-esque character, just with how much she can do and how fast she can do it. But she's another one to where I'm like, I like this character a lot. And last one's hard because there are other characters I appreciate a lot, and there's definitely ones where it's like, it's hard to say. I want to say like, oh, the people are gonna hate me for this one. I think Jimmy is like probably my number 3. Like he's so good. He's a very good character, but the amount of things, again, like when you give like characters more stuff that they can do with like Goddard being Jimmy's thing, and the way he can connect his combos, you know, between the two or his projectiles, the way they interact, like stuff like that's so interesting to me. So like those aspects and just like the ways you can play with Jimmy and the way he uses Slime Dash like at the top level, it's just so interesting compared to a lot of the characters in this game. But if I had to, like, if I was somehow allowed a 4th, my honorable mention has to be Nigel. Like he's so different, and who doesn't like comboing into rest, you know? Like who doesn't like seeing stuff like that? It's so funny.
Right. When it came to Jimmy, I would say I definitely was having a different kind of brain blast, kind of the inverse of him when I was watching Top 8, because I was like, how is this even happening?
Yeah, right. Like, dude, he is just, especially Matt too. Like Matt has a very unique like way to like play the character, and not that Senpak is different, but like also Leviathan. Oh my god, like if he ever comes back to this game, like there are VODs of him on my channel that are just like, he's a genius, you know. He is just so insanely like talented, and Senpak has definitely picked up a lot of what Leviathan left off on. And Matt also is just so insanely gifted with the character. Like both of them are like, I could not tell you. Maybe Matt's the better one. Maybe Senpak is. Senpak has won more online events, but Matt has just like, he just has a way with Jimmy too that's just ridiculous. So it's always hard to say, but they're awesome. I love both of them a lot. They're all so cool.
I'm very happy that you did not say Rocco, because Rocco is so degenerate.
Yeah, no, I could not. I find him funny, but he is not funny to play against. I'll say that. He's too good.
I would say mine are probably, I only have 2 that I can really think of. One of them is LT Gray, because he's my main, and I just seeing the way that it's like, what if Fox was also MVC Wolverine, and I kind of love that.
Yeah.
And the other character that I would say probably just I have an absolute blast watching is Azula, because I have lovingly dubbed her Fire Akuma, because she feels like she could do a little bit of everything, maybe a little too good, but just watching her move around the stage, her usage of her specials is just kind of crazy. And full disclaimer, I also play I dabble with Azula. I dabble with some Azula, but I do think those 2 are fun. I want to see some more representation for Ember, but she's always fun to watch as well.
She was another one I wanted to say. Oh my god, Shiny. I'm so mad. I was talking to them today. They're like probably the best Ember. It's either them or Nintunist, but the VODs of them, and what they did were lost to time. I was looking to upload them today, and I don't think they're on YouTube
That's a shame.
or Twitch. And I think they won the event, and they are just so like meticulous with how they combo and always hit like everything the way it should be, So it's just like they are just insane with it. So Ember is definitely another honorable mention of mine as well. But shout out to Tuttle, by the way, who plays Nigel, PugX. You two don't lose hope. One day it'll be better. It'll be better one day, I hope, for Nigel.
What do you have to say to people who think that the game is dead just because the Steam charts show a small player base?
I have two responses. One, I don't care if it's dead. Like I'll play it if there's 6 people that play. I've hosted brackets for NASB 1 throughout its lifespan that had 6 people. I'm not gonna stop doing that anytime soon. And the other flip end of it is that this game had 22,000 people on it and was in the 19th spot of the top 40 Xbox games played this month. And Multiverses last month, if we're going to compare anything, was 48 the month before, and it is not in the top 40 of the documented things. Not to compare them, because I do like Multiverses as well. I think it's very fun and catchy, but
different beasts.
Yes, absolutely. I think like both of those, like nasb is just, it's okay if you don't like it. It has its quirks, it has its issues, it has its stuff, but it's a game that only gets better with time. And if you want to continue to improve, or you want to at least experience it, there's not a better community surrounding it that will teach you, that will like help you learn, that will also gas you up when you win or upset top player or do well in the Arcadian, so people want this community to like exist. People obviously also dislike the fact that maybe the game is a bit too buggy in some aspects, and that's perfectly okay. But it's definitely a game worth trying out, even if you think it only has 2 players, which
I totally agree with you. And I say this like in regards to the bugs thing, especially like my original PlayStation 5 copy of the game had a game-breaking bug that made it where I could literally never play the campaign again, and I still bought the game again on PC afterwards because I was having so much fun.
Yeah, like day one I found out like the whole like you can't on PC use like different types of controllers at the same time, like Xbox and GameCube and stuff like that, and I was like, this is gonna suck. And definitely I had to hit a point low after Frosty Fostings this year where I was like, man, is this worth it to like keep doing this stuff? And I was like, yeah, it'll be fixed eventually, it'll be fine. And like a lot of people definitely also had the same reaction after that tournament. They're like, this maybe isn't the best thing to keep on doing, but people stuck around. And when that update for it finally came around that fixed it with Genesis, people were like, man, this game is awesome. And every time people see this game in person, there's always a group of people that are drawn to it, and they're like, this thing is awesome. So like if you host a major and like somebody wants to like run the event for you and has the means, just let them do it. Like people love this game, people will fly out for this game. I'm hosting a regional sized event for it at the end of July, so it's like if you're in the area, come to Scrims Esports 27th. Shout out. Me and Rickles are working on it, but yeah, like this game, it's awesome. So I think people just need to experience it.
I always get a little upset when I see people that are like dead game, and I know I shouldn't because it's the internet and people mess with each other, but like, just because a game doesn't have like just because the game's not doing Tekken 8 numbers doesn't mean that the game is dead. And just because it's not doing Multiverse numbers, yeah, Multiverse has so many people casually, but like even a small niche community is keeping this alive. That's one of the great things about the FGC community. Like we wouldn't have people still running Third Strike nowadays, without it. And I think that's a case that I would love to see for NASB too. So what do you think? Do you think that this game will continue to have a bright competitive future? Do you think it could get a larger community like Third Strike eventually went on to?
Somebody actually brought that up to me. They showed me Brawlhalla's numbers when it came out, and it was like super short. It was like 10 people or something weird in like the first couple of months or years that it was out. Let me look at this. I actually have it up on my other monitor. Yeah, so it's like it started off with like 2,000 people. And it was like about as many as NAS1 had, and then it dropped to like 300 in like a month, and then a year later it was at like a person playing online, and then all of a sudden like the accessibility that Brawlhalla got that made it like free and like cheaper caused the player base to shoot up in a similar way to how NASB2 is now with Brawlhalla. So it's gonna be really interesting to see like what Game Pass does for it. I hope, because I did some research, and Game Pass games tend to stay on the platform between 3 months to a year at the lowest amount. Usually it's more than that, but the like average shortest amount of time is 3 months to 12 months. And so I'm hoping that at worst it's 12 months, and I'm hoping at best it stays on Game Pass for a long time. But I also am hoping that it being on there, you know, like causes the series to like maybe get some more funding for this game before they decide to move on to the second or the third rather. And I don't know if they even will. So I hope that like regardless of if there's a third, I hope that they support this one more first, you know.
No, you're right. I agree. This one, I hesitate to make the comparison, but this one feels like, to me, the melee of it. Not in that it's speed, but more so in that it took what the first game had, and then it kind of advanced it and made it, you know, more interesting. It innovated on what it had. And I think that with this the Game Pass thing, my big hope is that, you know, if it doesn't stick around super long on Game Pass, the people that do play, I mean, you said 20,000, that's a lot, that they not only stick around, but they like go out and they buy it, you know, even if it's on another platform or whatever, that would provide a huge boost. And like I said, the thing about FGC is it comes from grassroots, and I think I would love to see this game get a community that draws in, like I said, maybe not those Tekken numbers, but like, you know, some melee numbers every once in a while. That'd be fun.
Right. I've talked just about this with a couple people. One of those being Kryzen Graphics. She's like one of the graphic designers for Luminosity and some of the like Smash content creators. And I've said, like, honestly, if we could just hit like Rivals 1 like regular numbers where it's like their average online Steam count is like 300 people. If that could be like our steady, even if it's like 100 online, you know, and that's still not a lot, but I don't need much, because I think on YouTube side of things, like I'm starting to hit an average of like 800 views per video I put out when it's like a decent, like okay video, you know, or like
I'm doing better than me,
right? Like I think it's possible, you know, I think that's possible for NASB, like as a group to pull each other up. So it's like I try to share content as it comes out, like if I can see it, you know, if I find it, you know, that's NASB, even if it's like just like CPU battles, you know, I'll just like maybe like it and share. I'm like, hey, like at least somebody's making stuff for it, you know. But it's like stuff like this where like this podcast, or like Nintunis has a podcast as well, and like my streams, not just for tournaments, but like when I'm just playing the game, or like when Tofu or whoever it is, you know, whoever's making stuff, as long as people are still doing stuff and showing like, hey, a year from now, 2 years from now, if there's no more game like coming out 3, 4, or 5 years from now, there's still the same amount of people streaming and hosting events and making podcasts or whatever it is. I think that the community being around and talking and being loud and saying, we just like this game, like it's still here, you know, will draw in people that are interested. And the goal should also be to like make sure that people that are still here are still interested in sticking around. So like competitively, I've been making sure like there's doubles events, there's squad battles, there's different types of single battle stuff, you know. And on the same vein of it, you also want to make sure that the newer players are able to play with like an Arcadian type event. So it's definitely an ecosystem of like making sure people both want to play, but also like have like a reason to, with like prize money or whatever. And that can be hard, but it's all like one big effort. So whether you're making content, even if it doesn't seem like it's getting a lot, it's important, because you never know, like whether it's the documentation of it or like just posting it might show like 6 people that the game is still thriving or has a scene, you know.
Right. Honestly, one of my goals partially with this interview, you know, I'm going to cut some highlights from it and put it in an upcoming video I'm working on about the best games of 2023. I mean, for me, 2023 is packed full of great games, but NASB2, I mean, I'm going to let you in all the secret. It's taking the number 2 spot. Because it's just, is that good of a game. And one of my secret little goals with this is to hopefully convince all that audience that came to me for Multiverses to be like, this NASB 2, it looks like it's got some sauce. Let's see what it's about.
Yeah, absolutely. And I've actually started to have that happen. I've had randomly people are like, hey, I was playing Multiverses, I've been playing Flash Party, I've been playing Melee, but I'm just not like, or Ultimate even. It's like, I've been playing Ultimate and I'm just not really enjoying it. I want to try something new. Is there anywhere I can go to like learn about the scene or like get better or like enter a tournament? I'm like, yeah, join the Nick Rogue Riders, join NASB Junior. And like just making sure that like people know that there's stuff stuff available, you know. I think that part of it is also making sure it's more accessible, because I think a lot of the stuff that we have maybe isn't up to date or the most accessible, with like Discord being
right
the main way. So me and Papa Mac, he runs like the NASB tournaments page on Twitter and the Smash or the Super Combo wiki for NASB 2. We've been trying to really push people to like update and like post video for and like post guides and whatever, you know, publicly on that site, because it's Googleable. It'll show up in a Google search. So even if they aren't in the server, they might still find tournaments, or they might find the guides or whatever, you know.
Right. Here's a fun one. Stage wise, in you could do both games if you want. What's the worst stage and what's the best stage?
Worst stage has to be NASB 1 Sewers. That stage is terrible. Moving like goop on the ground that would come out of the ground, move across the stage, kind of like Dreamland Wind, like when the wind box that pushes you. But this is like, you can tech off of this. So like it causes jank where, let's say you're getting hit sideways, like in the air. And if you DI down and the slime is out, you could like tech off the goop. And then the way it messes with...
I know that's crazy.
Like, yeah, like that's weird. And then like netcode issues with it were weird. So it just janked up everything. It was the smallest stage in the game on an already fast game with big sized characters. So it was like, you just die at like nothing in a game that you already died at 0 at, you know? So it's just like, come on, like, I don't know if this is the best. We had no other option though. Like, you know, we had to use it. We didn't have other options. And people will say, well, you shouldn't have put it on the stage list. But I'm like, there was no other option.
Three other options for stage list.
Yeah, right. The best stage though, in the game either of them has to be NASB 1 Jellyfish Fields. NASB 2 Jellyfish Field also is a runner-up for one of the worst because of how large the top blast zone is, and it really ruins it for us, as well as the way the platform is on that stage. In the second game, for some reason, it's very like jank. There's too much to even explain about it, so I'll just leave it at that. But NASB 1's perfect sized, platform is short to the ground. The blast zones are all like fairly sized for a game as fast as NASB 1. And I'm sure that in NASB 2 they would feel a lot better than Jellyfish in this game in NASB 2. So shout out to NASB 1 because it both has the worst and best stage in all of NASB or all of Nick Brawl.
I don't know if I could agree with you on that one. I Space Madness. I just think that one's I don't like that one.
Yeah, I suppose. I guess thinking about all of them. Okay, I'll change my answer for this. If I'm picking any stage, Traffic Jam is the best stage in all of Nick Brawl. It's the one. It's like the one from NASB 1 where you're on the bus.
The Hey Arnold one.
Yeah, that one's awesome. Good music, funny like gimmick with like bouncing off the street. You can run on the street too, get hit by cars. Like it's cool. Yeah, good casual map. Worst map definitely Space Madness. That thing sucks.
I like that a lot of the stages in 2, as opposed to the first one. The first one is very sort of like a lot of the stages were based on like generic locations from the shows. I like that in 2 they went with more like specific overt episode references because, you know, I was a big Nick kid. I recognize a lot of this stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. It feels like it's a lot more dialed in, like with like what they chose to like show and reference and everything. So I like that a lot more compared to the first.
As far as favorite stages to go, I'd probably say I like Miracle City. I mean, and it's not just because I think El Tigre was treated horribly by that network and should have gotten 3 more seasons, but I really like the layout on that one. All the layouts, honestly, are just supremely solid.
I agree. They have a lot of good creative like layouts for it, and I wish more of them we could use. There's the one where it's like the single plat that moves left to right, but it's like swinging. That one's cool. Like it's just so cool.
So, what future FGC events will you be attending, or planning on attending, or running tournaments at?
So, one I always run every week is Huge Raw Mondays. That's with Yacht Club, and so I run and participate in HDR and Nick Brawl 2. So that's every week on Mondays at Scrims Esports Center, and at the same location on July 27th, we're going to be hosting the Midwest event Platform Pop-Up, which just actually, like, as of we started doing this podcast episode, is this recording actually just got announced officially, so I can finally talk about it. So good timing, actually. It's gonna have Rivals 2, Multiverses, Nick Brawl 2 squad battles, and then that's Nick Brawl 2 for both, not nasb 1 and Nick Brawl 2 squad battles. So it's just nasb 2 and squad battles. That's a free entry for that bracket, $10 entry for the venue, and it's going to have like doubles as well for multiverses. So 1v1 and 2v2 for that game. So it's going to be really sick. It's going to be a really fun in-person event. I don't think there's been many LAN events for multi just yet, especially in the Midwest. So it's going to be like something that I think that community is going to appreciate a lot. The nasb community, or the nasb 2 community, I've been talking to some top players. Sounds like there's going to be some of the people we even mentioned in this recording potentially going, so it should be maybe a similar watch to Combo Breaker if everybody stays true to their word. So I'm hoping that that's another hype finish as well.
That's exciting. It's just kind of off topic for a second, but let's move on over to Multiverse for just a second.
Sure.
I gotta ask you as a TO, you know, with their relaunch not allowing you to use every character offline, how much does that annoy you?
Oh, it's terrifying. We're working internally on like solutions for it and like how we want to handle it. And I don't think I'll go into too much detail on that, but it is definitely I will say this. I did bring it up to Ajax. I messaged him about it, and he was saying that it is something that, while it's not his field of expertise, it is something that he will bring up. So maybe it's something that season 2 or the mid-season patch or something may be added, because they did do it for training room mode. So I don't think there's any reason why they couldn't also do it for local play. Granted, maybe the whole Parsec thing got them spooked on their like currency or whatever. I don't know, but it's okay. Like at the end of the day, it's a game that, while at least has better net play now, so there's not necessarily that big of a deal with it being played offline. I just wish it also was a bit more accessible.
Right, that's the real thing, the accessibility. I mean, as I unlocked everybody in the beta. That didn't affect me, but for like my friend that's a fresh install, I mean, that's terrible. It's another reason I always like default. People are like, you know, what's a good platform fighter right now that isn't Smash? I'm always like nasb 2. You play a flat rate and you get you get all the base game characters, and it's sad to say that that's like the. You know, that has to be a positive nowadays, but
yeah. There was actually, speaking of that, there was a tweet I saw by I think it's Impractical Tasks tweet. I forget what the actual ad of that is, but he's like the Melee stats kind of guy. And he had posted about like how Melee was made like 20 something years ago and has like this many characters and this many stages, and like you pay for it and you're done, and like whatever else, you know, and it's polished and fun. And it's like, why hasn't anything else like this? Why hasn't anybody done that? Why didn't Riot make a platform fighter? And I'm like, well, Riot's would have been like a free-to-play game, so it definitely wouldn't have been what you're asking for, because it will never be complete. It'll never be like finished, you know. And they likely won't add everything that you're asking at the rate that you're asking. Whereas Nick Brawl and Rivals 2 and all of these games that have come out, Rivals 1, Nick Brawl 1, like there are millions of others too. Like you pay once, you get all the characters. They're all really interesting. It has rollback netcode, and the devs support it to the best of their abilities. And like the communities are awesome, you know. So it's like you could just play these. And I don't normally like. I'm not the type of guy who's like in your face about like you could play this game. Ultimate has failed you, or you know that meme. It's like
right,
like the Fox or whatever. I'm like, I'm not that guy. I don't like being like in your face about that. I'm like, because nasty in general, we're all just like, oh, you like your game? Yeah, we play that one too. It's really fun. You know, like we'll play anything. So it's like, we don't really like say that too much, but I'm like, well, it's like you could just try it again. Like there's no harm in like trying some new stuff out. But I mean, it's just the context of the conversation as well. But in general, it's like I think that NASB and like other paid games are awesome because you just buy it and then you play it like and you own it forever. It's not gonna like go
right. Like I'm not hard on like DLC characters when the game already has a strong base. Like you know, $25 may be a little steep to some people to get Rocksteady, Zuko, Krabs, and Iroh, but I mean, it's you also have 25 other characters in that base game. So like I'm willing to support the product that I like with the DLC, but when it comes to like multiverses or apparently what was supposed to be Riot Games trying a platform fighter, which actually was a thing apparently.
Right.
You know, it's just I like to I would prefer to pay for the product. Like, I mean, Fraymakers has even less characters, and I still just love that game to death, even though it's not finished yet. But I would say I'm really passionate about platform fighters. I feel you and I are probably about on the same page with that. And we want to see more competition, but more innovation in the space. Which I feel like a lot of the, the free-to-play live service space is kind of at odds with, in my opinion.
Yeah, I could see that too. And it's definitely a bit over my head in terms of the conversation because I just play I'll play any platform fighter, man. I do not care. Like I'll play.
Oh, they're all fun.
Yeah, like I have a reason to play multiverses. The only game I don't play too much, and even that I still find time is to play it, is Brawlhalla. And like I like it. I think it's silly. I think it's more fun in teams and or like 3v3s and like anything. And it does have a lot of very unique modes, which I think is the coolest part about it compared to a lot of games in the same genre. Like it just has everything,
A strong core base of different modes is super important to platform fighters. You mentioned it before, but I'm super happy that nasb 2 has so many different modes, and it's still adding them, which is something that I wish more games would do.
Absolutely. I wish more games could just be pay for it, you play it, and it also is like a game where it's like the nice thing about nasb is that it also just has so many competitive variants that even if they're not like competitive, they aren't like stupid for stupid sake, like casual for casual sake. Like there are Tigre stages that definitely aren't like competitively viable at all.
Right.
At least they have like a fun layout, or like at least like Jellyfish Fields has like the normal Jellyfish field look, but also has ones where it's like just a flat stage or like a 2-plat stage or whatever, like there's so much variety with what they did with it. So it really has the best of both worlds for like everybody. Something I really appreciate.
I will admit I am getting a little tired of looking at Garfield stage, but part of that's because every time I look at it, it makes me hungry.
It's so true.
But thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I know you're, like I said, a very busy individual, but where can my viewers find you to keep up with you, like your social media, your YouTube channel, etc.?
Yeah, so I actually, not too recently now, but I have transitioned to this on everything. I used to be like Cherry IPG on a lot of stuff, but now no matter pretty much any platform, you type in Cherry nasb, you'll find me on that. So YouTube, you can type Cherry nasb, I'll pop up. TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Blue Sky, Threads, the whole, like every single thing. Like you'll find me on everything. Multiverses, you want friend request me on Multiverses, it's Cherry nasb. Like anywhere you go, you'll find me, except Reddit. That is not my
I cannot blame you for that.
I didn't get that one in time, unfortunately. But I also just don't use it enough. But anyways,
that's fair.
I use that, and then the other thing I'll plug, because it's not too well known yet, and I am trying to get some traction on it, is I just recently, like a couple weeks ago now, made a tournament specific YouTube channel. So I'll be posting all of my tournament VODs there now, so that way there's not like too many pings in it, like Discords or like wherever else, and it's just called Cherry Tournaments. So, and when you type that in, it should be like the first or second thing. There's not too many things with that name. And I actually am the only one with that like @ so there's not like an underscore or like a 1 in there or something. It's just Cherry Tournaments. So yeah, those are the 2 places you can find me. Dutchman's Dungeon 20, $100 prize pool for NASB 2 coming up on Tuesday. And then NASB Junior 9, the Arcadian for any beginners or unranked players, is on a week from today, next Friday. So a lot of good things to do right now in NASB.
Well, like I said, thank you so much for taking time out of your day. I'm definitely gonna try to hit you up later, maybe get some matches with you, because I never actually gotten to play with you. But hey, if nothing else, it'll make some good B-roll footage of you kicking my ass.
Yeah, for sure, man. We should absolutely play it.
Yeah. So yeah, this will probably be going up in a couple months from now. Just like I said, I'm gonna. I mean, I guess I could try to put it up pretty soon, but like I said, thank you so much for taking time out of your day, man. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see a long competitive career for this game, and I hope to see you in that, as part of it. Even if you're not TO in a couple of years, or even if you're, sort of a little bit more retired from the game. I know that it hurts your hands, but I hope to see you, still enjoying it in the future.
Oh yeah, and the nice thing, I didn't mention this, NASB 2 definitely, it doesn't hurt my hands at all. So that's one thing I really appreciate about the game, is that I can play it and not like have long-lasting issues with doing other stuff. Whereas NASB 1, it was like there was a point like right before NASB 2 came out that I literally couldn't play NASB 1 anymore. Like I just had to stop.
The A, of course, stands for arthritis.
Yes, yeah. But yeah, so take your time on it. Of course, like no need to rush it, but if there is like for some reason you wanted to get out early, that's chill too. But it's always better to take your time and make sure it's exactly what you want it to be,
For sure. Well, like I said, thank you so much. I'll let you go now, but it was a pleasure talking to you, my man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. All right. I'll talk to you maybe another time in the future. I'll see you later.
Have a good one.